Department of Homeland Security is about to shut down. We don't know how to get it back open. What does that mean? It means ICE will be shut down. It means TSA will be shut down. They're not going to be paid. That'll impact airport travel. Coast Guard be shut down. FEMA, God help us if we have a natural disaster. What's about to happen is top of the list, king of the hill, number one, stupid. Because the Karen wing of the Democratic Party wants to defund ICE. The Democratic Party also wanted us to defund the police.
The room is tense. Cameras are rolling. Whispers ripple across the chamber, and then silence. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. steps up to the microphone with a calm but unshakable presence. No flashy entrance, no dramatic gestures, just quiet confidence. But what follows is anything but quiet. Within seconds, his words begin to cut through the noise, targeting what he calls the carefully crafted illusion surrounding modern politics. He doesn't waste time with politeness or political niceties. Instead, he zeroes in on Chuck Schumer and the leadership of the Democratic Party, accusing them of abandoning core principles in favor of power and control. The audience shifts in their seats as Kennedy lays out his argument with precision, claiming that the party once built on transparency and accountability has now become entangled in bureaucracy and influence. His tone isn't angry, it's deliberate, almost surgical. That's what makes it hit harder. Every sentence feels calculated, every pause intentional. He calls out contradictions, pointing to policies that, in his view, no longer serve the people they were meant to protect. There's a growing intensity in the room, not from shouting, but from the weight of what's being said. Supporters lean in, critics brace themselves, and neutral observers realize they're witnessing something rare. A moment where someone is willing to challenge their own side, openly and unapologetically.
First, I want to try to explain to the American people what's going on around here. Some people are going to try to tell you, American people, that what we're engaged in is a rational discussion of how to use scarce taxpayer dollars to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Now, that's not true. Wish it were. The Department of Homeland Security is about to shut down. We don't know how to get it back open. What does that mean? It means ICE will be shut down. We've got some ideas about how to keep it operating. They have enough money. It means TSA will be shut down. They're not going to be paid. That'll impact airport travel. Coast Guard be shut down. FEMA, God help us if we have a natural disaster, it'll be shut down. What's about to happen is top of the list, king of the hill, number one, stupid. And it's happening just not because of policy. It's happening because of raw gut politics. If you could see what I see, your gag reflex would be permanently triggered. Here's what's going on. The Karen wing of the Democratic Party is in control of the Democratic Party. And the Karen wing of the Democratic Party, not all Democrats, but there's clearly a Karen wing. Sometimes I call them the loon wing. They have gone to the Minority Leader Jeffries and my friend Senator Schumer and said, don't you vote for that Homeland Security bill. Why? Because the Karen wing of the Democratic Party wants to defund ICE. Now, we've seen this vampire movie before. The Karen wing of the Democratic Party also wanted us to defund the police. How'd that work out for us? The criminals are still laughing. Now they want to defund ICE. And Senator Schumer and Minority Leader Jeffries, two good men, they've made a bunch of unreasonable demands that no person with a brain above a single-cell organism would vote for. It would put handcuffs on ICE. That's just a fact. And they know that. I'm not going to vote for them. Sure not going to vote for them with a gun to my head. Now, but I'll tell you the reality. We could go to Senator Schumer and the Minority Leader in the House and say, okay, we accept every one of your conditions. The Democrats still are not going to vote to keep DHS open. I mean, I don't blame Senator Schumer for trying, but he's kind of wandering around here like one of those Roombas. He looks like a man who's lost his luggage at the airport. I mean, he's making these demands, and if we accepted them, we're not, but if we did, he couldn't deliver the votes. Because nobody on my side of the aisle wants to defund ICE. And that's what this is all about. And some of my colleagues are trying to pretty it up. Lots of play acting. They might be late, a little late for getting their name in for the Academy Awards, but maybe next year. They're trying to muddy the water, make it look deep. Like we're having this discussion about efficiencies at the Department of Homeland Security. Nope, very simple. The Karen wing of the Democratic Party has told every single Democrat, if you don't vote to shut down DHS, if you do vote to fund ICE, we will punish you politically the rest of your natural lives. That's why we're about to have a shutdown. Now, this stuff isn't complicated. Here's what I think most Americans believe. Illegal immigration, Mr. President, is illegal. Duh. If none of us are above the law, I believe that. I bet you believe that. If no one is above the law, how come people in our country illegally are above the law? Immigration statutes are not some second-tier laws that you can violate without consequence. It's the law. If you don't like it, change it. I believe in enforcing our immigration laws. Now, how you enforce them matters. By God, you better believe it matters. Those laws have got to be enforced in conformity with equal protection and with due process and in accordance with standards set forth by the United States Supreme Court. I think it was 1968 in a very famous case called Terry v. Ohio. Cop can't stop you unless that cop has reasonable suspicion, not probable cause, reasonable suspicion to believe that you have committed, are committing, or is about to commit a crime. It's not subjective. It's an objective standard. And our cops, including but not limited to our ICE officers, have to follow it. Now, you can protest. That's fine. That's your right to protest. You don't have the right to protest violently. You don't have the right to harass an ICE officer You don't have a right to spit in his face. You don't have a right to threaten his children. You don't have a right to get his home address and go to his house and try to harass his family. You don't have the right to block the street so the ICE officer can't get through. You don't have the right to kick out a cop's tail light. You don't have the right to go burn Christmas trees. You have the right to protest, but not violently. Because you know what? 2 reasons. Violence undermines the morality that you say your movement is built upon. Dr. King knew that. That's why he wanted nonviolent protest. Gandhi knew that. President Mandela knew that in South Africa. Violence undermines the morality that you say your movement is built on. Now, there's a second reason that you can't protest violently. It's against the law. And it's bone deep, down to the marrow, stupid. If you act like a butthead with a cop or an ICE officer, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. Here's a little tip. It's free. Cops will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff. And that's what this debate is all about. I hope we get it worked out. I don't want to see flights stop. I don't want to see FEMA not be able to respond. I don't want to see the Coast Guard have to shut down. But the Karen wing of the Democratic Party is the cause of this.
As Kennedy continues, the atmosphere shifts from tense to electric. He begins connecting the dots: policy decisions, public messaging, and what he describes as a widening gap between leadership and everyday citizens. He questions whether the Democratic Party still represents the working class, or if it has drifted towards serving institutional interests. His critique isn't just aimed at individuals like Schumer, but at the broader system that allows, in his words, comfort to replace courage. He highlights issues like government transparency, corporate influence, and freedom of speech, arguing that these values have been compromised over time. What makes this moment powerful isn't just the content, it's the delivery. Kennedy speaks without notes, maintaining steady eye contact, as if he's not just addressing the room, but millions watching beyond it. He anticipates the backlash, even acknowledges it, but presses forward anyway. That defiance becomes the centerpiece of his message. That real change doesn't come from staying in line, it comes from speaking out. Even when it's uncomfortable, he challenges his own party to return to its foundational ideals, urging leaders to prioritize people over politics. The camera occasionally cuts to reactions, some nodding, others visibly uneasy, but Kennedy doesn't break his rhythm. He builds toward a conclusion that feels less like a speech and more like a call to action. He doesn't claim to have all the answers, but he insists on one thing: accountability must come first. As he steps away from the microphone, the silence returns, but it's not the same silence as before. It's heavier, more reflective. Whether one agrees with him or not, it's clear that his words have left an impact. In just a few minutes, Kennedy has sparked a conversation that many avoid: a conversation about loyalty, truth, and the courage to stand alone. And as the clip ends, one thing becomes undeniable. This wasn't just another political speech. speech. It was a moment designed to challenge, to provoke, and to demand attention in a world that often chooses to look away.